Wisconsin can't be so cold. The scales of justice can erode. If we accept lies big and bold, all we forget, we live on Avery Road. We live on Avery Road. Should be easy to see. This could be you, could be me. We shouldn't sit by idly, accepting everything, all that we are told. I live on Avery Road. I live on Avery Road. I live on Avery Road. Well, hi everybody. Chad, are you there?
I'm here.
Ah, excellent. Thank you.
I
Well,
was like, I didn't know if Hangouts had elevator music, and then I'm like, holy shit, it's got Stacy Seabrook elevator music. So I hung on the call.
well, talking about calls, that's rather appropriate, isn't it, eh?
Right.
First of all, Chad, many thanks for joining us. I don't know if you managed to suffer the video I posted just about 4 hours ago.
Oh yeah, when you were doing
Sean
the
the Sheep has still got the headphones on. He said he does not, under any circumstances, want to take the risk of suffering that again because that was absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, was that the video you did the Dave Bagotka style?
No, I did. No, not that one. That one was well received because, of course, it was out in the middle of the country, although it was a bit misty and a bit windy.
Place.
But I did one where I offended everybody's sense of musicality and offended everybody's ears with the dude singing "God Save Our Ears."
Oh man, yeah.
I know.
Yeah, remind me not to watch that one.
I'll try.
Remind me to unnotify that one.
Yes. So first of all, Chad, there's so much I want to talk to you about. First things first, I wanted to bring up, and I hope you don't mind this, but I want to bring up a subject, which is this: that basically, if we've got so many suspects that caused the disappearance of Teresa Holbach, and I'm not talking Brendan and Stephen here. I'm talking other genuine suspects. I'm not talking about the ones that Manitowoc Sheriff's Department hope are going to be the suspects. I'm talking about the ones that are actually the suspects, right?
Right.
So there's we've got Bobby Dassey.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Scott Taddick. We've got Ryan Hilligus. I don't know if Scott Blowdorn counts as one. Certainly Mike Osmond's son, and obviously the Manitowoc Sheriff's Department. To me, one thing you said to me a while back was we've got so many suspects and so many that could be classed as Denny suspects. Does that not raise a question? And that is, how can we have so many suspects? And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that I still haven't got rid of the idea that Teresa Holbach might still be out there.
Right.
Because it would explain so much. And what I'm going to say to you is that people have criticized Chad Keller because he has come up with this idea. What if this is the case? And we don't have any evidence. All we've got at the moment is, and it's almost escalated. We've got possible human bones being handed back to the Holbachs. We don't know who those bones are. Nobody knows who those bones are. I don't know if you're still there.
I'm still here. I'm listening to you.
She could still be out there.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. The scientific communities, they never given us a 100% positive confirmation.
Right. So therefore, I was just going to say, therefore, don't shoot the messenger if the messenger is bringing along a message that says, we just don't know. I'm kind of sticking up for you here, basically.
Well, thank you. Conspiracy theory, I'll be shot and killed some way or another. So at
I
least
hope not.
Paul
I hope not.
Capaldi had my back all the way in Scotland.
Yeah, okay. But what I would also like to point out is that for that, I don't know if you know what that last tune was that I played.
The We Live on Avery Road.
No, the jazzy one. It was right. That was the Billy Taylor Quartet with a tune called "I Wish." Hi there, Mark. I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. It's obviously a Negro spiritual that has been made into this classic tune. And apart from you're the only guy I've spoken to that spent 4 years wrongfully convicted.
Right.
So when other people start criticizing you, I'm like, hold on a sec. We don't know what it's like to be like that. Somebody asked me, how do I know you? I can't quite remember when it was when we first started chatting, but we've been chatting a long time now, I would say. And some of it's to do with Making a Murderer. We've also done quite a bit of chats about other things, including, well, did you ever find John Dodds and his Rolls Royce?
Did I ever find John Dodd?
Dodds and his 27-litre Rolls Royce?
Oh, yeah. That was very interesting. Very. I think Rolls Royce still might be mad about that one.
I think so, yes. Sorry, I'm going to turn your volume up. You seem pretty low on volume. I'm going to just turn you up a bit. And I think I'm going to do the same to Mark.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes. Yeah, I can hear you.
Good.
We're just waiting on the dude, possibly. I've sent an invite to Travis. I don't know if Travis is going to be able to join us. And I don't know if Chad, if Dave is going to be able to join in.
I messaged him. I think he's got some things going on, but he said maybe he might catch us next time.
No. So come on, let's just cut to the chase here then.
Exactly.
I want to know, and I'm going to ask the pair of you. It was something that Juan Tuscrew mentioned. Well, he discussed at great length, and my sort of question to what he was saying about he painted kind of a bleak picture, if you like, about Wisconsin and the legal system there. So I'm going to phrase it this way, and that is: will Stephen Avery bring down the Attorney General's office in Wisconsin? Chad, if you would like to go first.
Well, that's been my whole position for the past 3 years is that the state capitol, it needs investigated, and the Attorney General's office, they're basically the top cop that governs the rest of the Department of Justice in Wisconsin. So if anybody's going to bring them down, you need a federal investigation. I mean, you're not going to put the top cop on the top cop, taking out the top cops. And to answer your question, will the corruption at the state capitol level ever be unearthed? We have Josh Call, who is a former FBI director. So, I mean, it's going to be hard. It's a hard call, but that's the direction I believe Kathleen Zellner will eventually get to, especially with all the unethical governmental misconduct with Fallon recently. I believe that she's going to have to go to a federal level and unearth this stuff if they're ever to walk free, period.
Well, thanks, Chad. Mark, thanks for joining us. What time is it over there in Oz?
It's coming up to 9 in the morning, Monday morning.
My goodness, I seem to catch you at various times, don't I?
Hey, that's okay. It's quite civil. It's sunny.
Okay.
And warm. So,
Have you finished feeding the baby sharks?
yeah, just got back from them. I that was after I did the crocodiles. So
Okay, okay.
I
I
can get
didn't
a
think there
couple
weren't any
people up
crocodiles.
to feed them.
Sorry,
yeah,
Dad.
right. To answer your question,
Yeah.
will the Stephen Avery case bring down the AG's office? Was that right, Paul?
Mm-hmm.
Look, you know what? The way I see it is that his case will create a reform of the AG's office. Bring it down. I'm not quite sure what that means, but in terms of will it shake it up and get it into a better format than it has been hitherto? Absolutely, yes. I think that's already intrinsically happening. They're not actually, if you like, prepared to admit it as yet. But yes, I do. I do believe the AG's office, not just in Wisconsin, but around the country, will be the various AG offices will be the better for Stephen's case and Brendan's case. They go to the heart of some really fundamental issues about justice and about trust and about respect for the system of law.
Yep.
I believe that notwithstanding these cases affect individual people and their families and communities, I think there are a lot to be learned from them, and people want to be able to trust law enforcement and the powers that control them, i.e. the AG's office. And so I think there will be a better outcome as a result of these cases. Look, that could happen really quickly. If someone was to stand up and actually just make a public statement of how crap this has been for a long time, it could happen quickly. I'm not expecting anyone to do that, by the way. So it might be
if
teased
Mark
out.
Williams has already done that.
Yeah, that's right. So, but yes, I'm confident that we'll get a better result than we've had so far in terms of. Forgive me to the listeners who've heard me rabbit on about this in the past. My big criticism is that for all the marvelous things about the United States and all its innovation and its ability to solve issues in crises, in my view, it hasn't evolved its legal system in a way that's kept pace with the 21st century. And it's time it made its legal system better, and that's what I hope to see.
Well, yeah, Mark. The reason our legal system hasn't gotten better is basically because they make so much money off of it, and they don't want to change anything. Say
Yes,
if you put someone on death row, it takes more tax money and more taxpayers' dollars to keep that person on death row, and we our laws to reverse anything is so horrible. You're looking at 10 years, just 10, 15 years just to get out on something. I mean, it's ridiculous, and they're sitting there making money, and we definitely need reform big time.
Yeah, look, this issue can really get quite deep, a lot of philosophical things, and again, at the risk of being repetitious, as I've mentioned this many times in the past, is that one of the litmus tests about equity, and I think everyone would accept, in general terms, everyone should have a fair go and be able to live a respectful life. But one of the things the United States suffers from is the inequity of wealth. It's the wealthiest nation in the world by a long shot per head of population, but it's one of the most poorly distributed wealth in the world, in the Western world, amongst countries you'd like to compare itself with. Now, that in itself, I'm not talking about handouts, but the way in which a nation takes its taxpayers' dollars and redistributes it to the general population, whether it's through issues of health, whether it's through issues of education or the environment, all these things that give us the basics of life, because the very basics of life are simple things. We need shelter, we need health, we need relationships. These are the things that sustain us. and obviously in work to actually to afford some of those things. But we don't really need much to be happy. But the relative gap between the very wealthy and the poor in the United States is frightening. It is really frightening. And I'm a huge, fan, and I love the United States. I have many friends there. I've lived there for a year in the past. And until there is a redress of this attitudinal characteristic that says, the American dream, if you work hard, everything will be fine. The truth of the stats is that the great majority of the wealth is going to so few hands, and then those few hands are the hands that who generally advocate for maintaining the status quo. And allied with that is the issue, again, I'm a bit on my hobby horse here, but the issue that so few Americans go out and vote, and so politicians, whether they're good or bad, really only have to address to be successful, in other words, to win office, if you only have to address 50% of those that go out and vote, and that basically means you only have to be popular for about 25 to 30% of the population, and that's just a huge blemish on democracy. That in a country as amazing as the United States is, that people should be out there voting, the turnout numbers should be 85, 90%, those numbers. The very fact that people even vote midweek is a disincentive to vote, even though I know you can absentee vote and do other things. But people have to engage in the democratic process, and the politicians have to represent everyone. And then if everyone gets a fair go, then you don't have all this self-interest going on. And if you don't have the self-interest going on, you have a more equitable and fair society. And you have a forum for things like law reform, where, what's happened to Brendan, and to be interviewed in the way Brendan was interviewed without a parent or a guardian or a lawyer present. I mean, in any country that the United States would like to compare itself to, that confession would not even get close to a courtroom. Never. Yeah. So why does that happen in the United States? And the fact it's a question that doesn't need an answer, except to say it needs to evolve, and it's not evolving in these areas, and it's living in legacy issues. And until that change happens, then we're not going to see a lot of change go on.
Yeah, can I just clarify just for a moment? I suppose probably what I meant to say was, rather than will Steve Avery bring down Wisconsin, I suppose a fairer way of saying it would be, rather than will he bring it down, are there people in the system between, the lowly officers of Manitowoc Sheriff's Department and the Attorney General's office? Are there people in that food chain that are now fighting for their lives because they are going to be proven to be the effing liars that they are?
Yes.
Over to you, Chad.
Yeah, I think pretty much they're going to be exposed. The only thing is it's taking so long to get here. I remember I was telling you yesterday, whenever our live chat was, I used to talk to Trisha Bushnell, and I bring up Ryan Hillegas matter, and I bring up Bobby Dassey and Scott Tadich and Mike Osmondson tour, and I would back then, Bushnell had told me that Zellner has stated that Fallon was ethical, and there was no need to investigate him at that level at the Attorney General's office, and that's been nearly 3 years now, so I think when you start investigating the Attorney General's office, I think a lot of people, I don't know how much immunity they're going to have, but if you can prove that it's deliberate, if you can prove that it was, meticulous and methodical, then I believe that some people will be paying some severe consequences. It's just a matter of getting that investigation done and someone having the balls to jump in there and do it. And Zellner, she's already stated if she didn't have a good go with the Wisconsin court system, she's going to go federal. But I think it's going to it's going to be needed to be taken to this federal level to get everything done with, you know?
Yes.
I am just laughing at some of the comments from Eric Cozy. And I tell you, I am going to go on full out Eric Cozy bashing over the next few weeks.
Oh yeah.
The dude deserves it.
He said if we're bored, don't worry, he'll be here shortly. Get up here. Come on, Rosie.
Come
dude.
on, Richard. Come on,
Rosie,
dude.
Rosie, dude, come on.
Anyway, and also Dave Bagotka has. I've got his email address, so hopefully he'll come in and join us soon as well. Okay, so here's something that was presented to me not long after I started following the case, and I noticed one or two people pointed out that Robert Herman, Ken Kratz, I think Jerry Pagel, a couple of other guys, they have got a big ring on that finger, a big chunky gold ring. And it was suggested to me that they're all members of some sort of fraternity. And one of the things that we were hopefully if Dave can join us pretty quick, was talk about here he is.
Okay, I think I have it.
Yeah. Welcome. How you doing? Good. We were going to just quickly discuss the business of the big boys club or the old boys club or the blue boys or whatever they were called. Hi Dave, how you doing?
Doing good.
Nice for you to join us. How you doing?
Doing all right. Thanks for calling. Thanks for letting me in on this.
Oh, fantastic to have you. I was just saying to Chad and Mark about the this idea that there's some sort of some of the guys involved in Manitowoc Sheriff Department and the Ken Kratz, etc., Jerry Pagel, got a big chunky gold ring. Looks like they belong to some sort of fraternity.
Yeah, when I had my bar in Manitowoc, they were trying to force me to join this club, they called it. Nobody ever really said what it was called, but it was in the basement of the Eagles Club. It doesn't mean that it was the Eagles Club maybe, but that's where these guys are based out of. I've heard it called like a good old boys club, and I mean I've even heard rumors about them being some sort of satanic ritual club, some really goofy stuff. They might tell people that just to scare people. I don't know if it's true or not.
Yeah.
I don't discount anything at this point.
Sure. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm soon to be the master of a Masonic lodge here in Galashiels. As far as I'm concerned, the Masonic lodge we're a charitable organisation. We raise money. It was pointed out to me though by one or two people that could it be that people that are belonging to a certain society would sort of defend one another, stick up for one another, and I would say that possibly for me, the biggest fraternity, if you like, would be members of the sheriff department. I think it might be quite difficult for any kind of ethical and professional member of Manitowoc Sheriff Department to actually, come out and voice opinions against the sheriff. When we've got this Wrecking Crew book, and John Thrack covers the fact that Kasurik had one or two members of his department totally sewn up. They've done something wrong in the past, therefore they were in effect in his pocket. I wondered what you were thinking about that. What you might.
Well, it all comes down to money. These.
Yeah.
What I saw, or what was going on when I was there, was racketeering. They wanted kickbacks on everything.
Right.
Like my bar to like Manitowoc Engineering, the biggest companies in the area, and they got agents in all these places, and they work whatever they can. If they can make a buck at it, they'll steal it from anybody. And it's, a lot of people, say it's all, it's the Masons, and I don't believe that. That's like saying all Catholics are pedophiles. I mean,
Yeah.
That's not true, and not, like all Masons aren't bad. This is a group of guys that are basically a mafia, and they're scaring people and they're forcing them into doing things, and they control the whole area. And I question how high it goes, and I'm sure it goes well into Madison because one of the guys that I know is running the show has been in Madison politics. I mean, he was like a state senator or something like that, So I'm sure it goes higher than Manitowoc.
Yeah.
Are you referencing Ziggerbauer there, David?
That would be the guy.
Oh yeah, well, he's a piece of work. I got to sit down and talk to him for about 30 minutes, and man, he's a piece of work.
Yeah, well, he's the guy that came to me right after the Avery thing and tried to get me to join this sex club cult thing.
Was it good?
What?
I'm only kidding. No, seriously.
From the pictures, it sounded scary.
Yeah.
That he described. So anyway.
No, what? Sorry, you put me right off. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought here for a moment.
Well,
I've got everybody here joining in. So sorry, I apologise. No, sorry, Dave, carry on. You were going to say
after I saw the stuff that happened on the beach, with Bernstein on the beach. Right after that is when they approached me and wanted me to join this club, and he explained to me that all business owners and like political people in the area are in this club, and you have to be in it to be anything, and it really freaked me out. I was like, no, thanks. I mean, he had pictures of gay sex in Polaroids, and this is like 1985, and I was like, I was blown away. I never even heard anything like that. These parties and stuff that he talked about, and I got a real good feeling that they knew I saw too much on the beach, and they were trying to get me under their control.
Yeah. No. What I was going to say was that I can assure everybody out there that when it comes to Garda Shields, we have none of that kind of stuff going on either. It's definitely not. But I was going to mention to Chad that, and dude, it was you that mentioned this, that when you read Chad's book, Chad was talking about the fact that the mafia back in the 30s had infiltrated Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's the rumor. That's what they say.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've heard that as well. That they went out of like Chicago or whatever and migrated into Wisconsin.
And the funny thing is,
Chicago mob bosses. It was the Prohibition and Depression era, and they were wanting to kick ass and take names then, and so they bought up safety in Wisconsin politics, and you got a lot of these people still running the show out there from the mid and early 30s.
Okay,
it's a bloodline
history.
So
the main money, I guess, from Ziggerbauers came from the liquor industry. They owned some sort of liquor distribution or something like that. I forget the name.
Well, that would make sense if it was Prohibition. So that would kind of make sense. That would follow.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
So basically, we've now found out, and I'm gonna say this in the sense that when we first watched Making a Murder, I think we all could sense that there was something deeper than just Manitowoc Sheriff Department involved in corruption. There was clearly, from the top brass down, there was this corruption. It's all right saying we can see it, but it's a case of we have to be able to prove it. Does this Mark Williams phone call, does that prove the corruption? Is this going to be the thing that really proves it? I find this phone call so odd. I'm going to ask you all if Can you explain it to me,
No,
dude?
no.
Chad, Mark, Dave? Whoever wants to go first.
I'll throw in my 2 cents.
Go on then, Ozzy. You're alphabetical,
just,
Ozzy.
it just explains how unprofessional they are and how they feel immune to getting themselves into strife. I don't think it actually, the phone call itself, or at least what we know about the phone call of itself, isn't too really bad in terms of what they say. I think what is more powerful is the fact that they're so stupid to make such a call and not realize who they're sending it to. I think that's the more telling factor.
Well, I was kind of thinking about if someone knew, if someone has a grudge with Fallon, you got to remember there's the chain of evidence, you know, and we see proof of everybody going onto the Avery salvage yard, not logging in. We see proof of like the Dvorak's in the courthouse letting people back in. The key goes missing. It's like people are playing stupid on purpose, and I don't know if it's to purposely throw people under the bus or to say, "Oh, we don't know what happened," just to protect their superiors, you know.
Yeah, well, I guess that's a possibility, but either way, it still makes them look stupid.
They're pretty. They're actually pretty smart. I mean, they're stupid for doing what they're doing, but they're pretty smart. I don't know if y'all guys have noticed any of in the emails with in the transcripts. There's actually an email between Ken Kratz and Thomas Fallon, and it's got some other people hooked to it. And Fallon says that what we're doing is possibly illegal. Have any of y'all ever came across that email yet?
No, I didn't.
It's in the transcripts, and I was going on it, and I have taken screenshots. I only got like 3 million 3 years later, so I mean I'm gonna try to find it. But yeah, they're all talking about the case, and you know, Tom Fallon's like, what we're doing could possibly be illegal, and it's like right there in the email. And you know, when it comes to protecting people and people buddying up, and you know, even when Ken Kratz got his sexting scandal, he called he emailed up Tom Fallon, and that's the first person he really emailed. So this business with the phone call to Fallon, you know, it could just be signal to play dumb, you know.
Yeah. Dave,
maybe this is how he ended up leaving the message right here. Look, I can't lock mine in.
Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Maybe that explains it. He was fooled by Zellner's voice instead of Tom Fallon's. Just kidding.
Oh,
Dave, have you managed to follow much of the case recently?
Every day, everything.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on this phone call? I find it beggars belief that this Mark Williams accidentally did it.
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make sense, you know, that he would do it accidentally, but maybe. And you know, can they actually prove it's him? It wasn't somebody pranking, you know, somebody making a phone call. I don't know. You know.
Well, presumably they can trace back the phone number that it came from, and you know, if it traces back to Mark Williams or perhaps to his office.
Yeah, they'll find a way to deny it. You know, and they're probably trying to figure it out right now how they can lie and say it wasn't them.
Well, you know, I did this analogy with Mark just a couple of days ago, and to me, the big problem with all of this is it's like the state in a game of football, and they are in the top league, and everybody else below is in the bottom league, and they've got the the ball's there, the referee is there, and they just run the shots.
Right. Well, let's talk about one of those referees real quick,
Go on.
Paul. We did have Andy Colburn get in the he become in charge of the evidence room too.
Oh,
God.
So I don't know if any of y'all know that, like, he was in charge of the evidence room. Like, he's been in charge of it for a while. So there's one of your fucking referees right there that is making the game hard. The scoreboard's rigged again for both Steven and Brendan.
Yeah.
How do you put?
Is this the evidence room where at Calumet or Manitowoc?
Manitowoc County Sheriff's Office, actually.
Okay.
So
why would they be holding the evidence from the Calumet case?
Well, I mean, I'm just saying it goes back to people tied into it. If you got to do custody chain, if you got to, I mean, Colburn will probably put his little greasy palms in there somewhere.
Come on then, dude.
Can I pose this question?
Yeah.
Is it conceivable? Let's play on Mr. Fallon's side, which is kind of almost choking on when I say that. But let's just play on his side.
Literally the devil's advocate. Okay, proceed.
Oh my God.
You mean like Thomas Pence?
Is it possible? Is it reasonably possible that he wasn't aware of or involved in the giving back of the bones and may not been aware that happened?
Well,
he was there.
I think
he was there.
Yeah,
I got a video coming out at 3:00, and he was there.
Right,
Him, Mark Wiegert, and Gone. All three of them. Those were the three guys making the decisions of what was going back and what wasn't. And so he is absolutely involved. Jeremy Hawkins' report puts him there. So just so we know that,
Okay, Mark.
That's good to know. So there's no excuse for in the phone call where Mark Williams says, "Well, let's just wait until we look into the bags." I mean,
maybe Mark Williamson could plausibly not know, but Fallon certainly would.
So, are you saying Mark Williamson?
Sorry, Williams. Oh my God, Travis will never forgive me now. Sorry, Travis.
Sorry.
Okay, so Mr. Fallon has no excuse in this matter. He may be playing dumb. He may be playing dumb even with his own colleagues to demonstrate to them at least that he's not aware of the matter. But if it's a matter of record, I mean, he can't hide that anyway. So
yeah, but Chad raises a very important point, and that is that in Making a Murder Series 2, and by the way, I am spreading the word here in Gala Shield. I'm getting more and more people interested in the case, and it's not going to be long before even I don't know. Even in Australia, they're going to hear about this case, because it's spreading like wildfire.
Are you serious? My God.
Exactly, but no, seriously.
We got to get your street cred up, Paul, and then.
Yeah. Okay. So this.
Have you heard his position on guns, Chad?
Oh God.
Anyways,
when I hear anything from Paul, it's according to how many beers I've had in me and how many he had in him. And I don't drink that much, but sometimes I just want to drink a damn beer, if that makes any sense. Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm the same way. I occasionally like to have a few beers and catch a buzz, and
Yeah, it doesn't take you many beers to get pissed, does it?
No, now, if he gets his street cred really good, we're going to be able to get PCUIs in the United States over here, and that's Paul Capaldi and Under the Influence and talking about making a murder, and we don't need none of that. So,
if that was the test, we could drink a lot, right? It wouldn't be 0.05 or 0.03 or whatever the number is in your particular state. If it was the Paul Capaldi test, the drunkenness, there's a lot of beers to go on.
We'd have 3.2 blood running through our alcohol stream.
That's right. Exactly. Look at him. He's breathing.
I don't know why I invited you. Dave, would you like to stick up for me?
I was just going to say, how's it going, Dave? I haven't got a chance to say hi yet.
Hanging out over here in Texas.
Right, okay.
I gotta say, I was a little bit amused, Dave, to see that your wife was the one that was technology savvy to get you on here for us. I thought that was amusing.
All that stuff.
So, Paul, can I?
Good for her.
Following along your lines of hypotheticals, could I ask you? Well, I can ask it on your behalf. What does everyone think the logical reply from the AG office is going to be about this issue of giving back the bone? Two-part question: giving back the bones and not doing the proper recording or getting permission for that, and secondly, what that means in terms of Tom Fallon's discussions with Zellner in the last 2 years or whatever it's been, where she's asked him, can you test the bones, and he hasn't made any indication whatsoever that those bones are not even in existence.
Well, thanks, Mark. You've reminded me of my question, which was that in Making a Murderer #2, we hear Kathleen Zellner say that she's been on the phone with Tom Fallon, and he seems and he is completely ethical, and it's like, well, and I took that with a pinch of salt, because I thought that's simply because thus far, she doesn't have anything to pin him down on. Now she's got something to really, excuse it, the vulgarity. She has got something to really nail his balls to the yardarm. To use
my question is,
to answer
what does everyone think the answer is going to be from the AG's office in respect to those two matters?
I have a feeling that the state ultimately, when they finally get to it, when they stop arguing procedure and actually start trying to argue the substance of what the hell is going on here, I have a feeling that they're going to try to take some attitude that, well, it's just burned bones. So they're going to try to, I think, make this case for, we didn't think they were really biological evidence anymore, or something like. I think they're going to try to pull some little tactic like that, where they try to reason that they felt these bones weren't, after being burned and being sitting around for so long, were no longer biological material, or some kind of argument like that is kind of what I'm expecting from them.
And therefore, what were they giving to Mr. and Mrs. Holbach? Just some leftover bones from anywhere? I thought they were.
I believe they gave back bones they believed to be Teresa's. I truly believe that. I believe it's tantamount to an admission by the state that those bones in the quarry were Teresa's, and they were very desperate to not leave the jury with that impression at trial. So, understanding that the state was so desperate to make sure that the jury wasn't left with that impression at trial, because they were afraid the jury might listen to what the defense was saying about all these bones moving around, so they couldn't even spend 20 seconds on those bones in the quarry, because the best that could be said about them is they were possibly human. But yet we see in the ledger they've been ruled only human, or at least 8675 has been ruled only human bone, right? So what happened in the meantime? First, I love the way she asked the question, what happened in the meantime, number one, that suddenly made the state able to determine that those possible human bones were actually Teresa Halbach's bones, and if anything, and so there's that, and then there's the fact that they gave him back and they didn't tell anybody, and they didn't whatever. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here, and it's also going to be interesting with the new Brady interpretation there, because of the recent Supreme Court decision there. Now the interpretation of Brady and what went down with the 7 DVDs and how that stuff was handed over, held on for 8 months by the prosecution, then handed over in the 11th hour without the CD that would have made it a lot more, decipherable of what was on those 7 DVDs. They just hand everything over in the 11th hour, except the one thing that would have helped the most. And then after holding it for 8 months. So now the way that the Supreme Court in Wisconsin is taking an approach to Brady is it's about prosecutorial misconduct, not about the defense's due diligence. And that's a huge shift that I think is going to allow the appeals court judges to rule in favor of Stephen on the CD and the computer evidence, that it would have allowed them to impeach Bobby's testimony at trial. It would have, that they're going to see the relevance there, and that the state was clearly trying to hide that and play games with it and kind of jam it in under the radar in the 11th hour, right when everything's, coming up to trial, when everything's the most hectic for the lawyers, and they're in court every day trying to decide, big motions and things like that, and what experts are in and what experts are out, and picking a jury, and going through jury selection and all these things that they have to do before trial. And yet the prosecution waits till right up until to dump all that in their lap. So I think the appeals court has the chance to take the opinion here that was BS. The state was trying to hide things, and not dealing fairly.
Yep. Dave, would you like to come in?
I don't know. I think Madison is a den of snakes, and you can't trust anybody. Juan is right when he said that it's like dominoes. They don't want this to go because it's just going to be when people start finding out all the stuff that these people have been into, that it's just going to be one thing after another. And I don't know if there's going to be anybody left that isn't touched by this, including the former governor and maybe the new governor. They're all complicit. They all want to preserve themselves and the money. And I think the money is the biggest thing.
Right.
Someone's going to squeal for sure.
Chad, sorry, Chad. I was busy checking on something. I see that Eric Cozy's got something planned in about 30 minutes, so we've got maybe 20 minutes just to chat a bit more. But Chad, your opinions on these bones, please, because you're on these bones.
I got a couple of theories on the bones. Eric Jose just touched up really good on one of them about Teresa. If they didn't reveal that information in trial, then it's a huge Brady violation, that they were covering up that these bones in the gravel pit were hers. But I'm also looking at the scope of possibility Carmen Boutwell, because we do know that she was pulled out of the house at 1 o'clock, and 2 hours and 45 minutes later, Karen Hallback calls in. So not only is they're not giving the bones back because of this Brady violation, but the bones may not be Teresa Hallback to begin with, and that's another reason that they would, go through all this trouble to hide the bones. Like on Brady violation, you might have a loophole to escape some of this, but with Carmen Boutwell, if these bones belong to her, they're going to have a lot of explaining to do.
Well, certainly they would, yeah.
But yeah, that goes back on one of my theories. Besides Eric Jose just explaining, what he thinks. But I mean, you got Thomas Fallon. He's a very shady character.
I think you're being polite there, Chad.
Well, I mean, it's shady as in he's got the power and the pull to make things disappear.
Yeah.
I don't know how much pull he has right now under the scope of this, because I mean, you got 30 million watching eyes now, but for the past 13 years, he's been able to do whatever the hell he's wanted to, and I'm hoping now, that just Zellner is able to just like waltz into his office and slap him in the face and grab him by his shirt and just be like, okay, where the fuck are the bones? You know, because we need something to that effect going on, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say that, you know, for me, it seemed obvious when I first watched Making a Murderer. I was just gobsmacked at the fact that, for me, what was most upsetting was that members of the police, the sheriff's department, that people involved in upholding the law were so happy not just to bend the law but to break the law and to deliberately frame somebody, and that really got up my goat. That really, I hate to say it, that really pissed me off. It pissed me off so much that, as you all know, it caused me to get in touch with Robert Herman, and just really lay into him as much as I could. And Chad, you've met Robert Herman, and that this is something I've been meaning to ask you for ages, because you told me exactly how that came about and how you were with Robert Herman. Can you just divulge a little bit about your conversation with him?
Oh, let me look around, make sure I'm not being watched. A snake in the grass, basically, you know. And as far as any sheriff goes in this, I mean, Pagel was a snake in the grass. They're all pretty just assholes, you know. They think they're superior. I don't know if this goes back to their clubs or whatever, but you know, I mean they'll give you very little information, and then if you bring up something that's intelligent and intelligible to ask, they're like, "Oh, you're the dumb sack of shit," you know, like we ain't got no time for you because you're asking questions that make them angry, you know. So you get blown off because they ain't got time to talk about what they really did as opposed to what they say happened, you know?
Yeah. I suppose what I was really alluding to as well was the fact that as some of you know, the dude and Mark know, eventually my conversations with Robert Herman broke off because I couldn't stand. I had to start sort of verbally abusing the fella. There was no other way of doing it, and I sort of eventually sort of got him to concede that, you know, you're going to have to face the music, and the bottom line is that you could be chucked under the proverbial bus as much as anybody else, so you better watch out. And I quoted him an example of a guy here in Scotland, a friend of mine that's doing time for something. And he actually came out and said, look, if Kathleen Zellner ever develops evidence that Manitrock Sheriff's Department, if my department did anything wrong, I will get in touch with her. And I took that with a huge pinch of salt, because I don't believe for one moment that he's gonna get in touch with anybody. But you, Chad, you've spoke with him, but you were telling me that, look, when you actually got on and got the chance to speak with him, you had to be kind of flattering to him, and you were able to pull it off, you know, and just be almost sort of like that, this like kind of neutral fella, and I just find that so difficult to do.
Yeah, there's ways you gotta handle certain people.
Anyway, we're going to finish this off because Eric Rosie has got a video coming out for you. So if you don't mind, I'm going to go from left to right on my screen and ask each one of you, Dave, Chad, Eric Rosie, Mark. I'm going to go through each. Have you got anything else you'd like to add about where we are at the moment? How do you feel where we are at the moment with this case? Is Stephen Avery getting out? Is Brendan Dassey getting out? Is Wisconsin, you know, law enforcement, are they getting the kick up the backside they deserve? Dave first.
I don't think they got a chance of getting out until this goes to a federal level, and then you're going to get lucky if you find anybody at the federal level that isn't influenced by these people.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a big mess. You know, the one guy who just I forget his name. I'm bad at these names, but it's Lockenschlager's son.
Josh Call.
Josh Crawl.
Yeah, he was in the FBI before this, right?
Yep, former FBI director.
Okay, now if you live in Wisconsin and you know this stuff is going on, who are you ever going to talk to? You know, if they've infiltrated the FBI, I mean,
It's
hopeless.
very hopeless.
At my bar, I thought I could go to the police, and my bar manager, who's dead now, who I think they murdered, said to me, "They are the cops."
Yeah.
You know, that's the scariest thing. The people that you talked about being framed or whatever. That first time they framed Avery, it was 100% frame job. You know, we all know that now. You know, how can anybody doubt they wouldn't do it again? You know, it's just, you know, the people in Manitowoc are scared shitless of these people if they know about them. You know, people contact me and they tell me all this stuff, but, you know, they don't want to say anything because they live there yet, you know, and I don't blame them because these people are very ruthless and they'll wait 10, 15 years to get back. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure my number's up pretty soon. I'm just waiting for them to pull something on somebody. I'm sure it'll happen if this isn't straightened out. I was hoping that this could kind of break loose the whole story about how bad it is there and how much they corrupt everything. You know, it's hard to even get a decent job there unless you're in with these guys, and that's really the truth.
Well, yeah, I must admit, Dave, I've had correspondence with quite a few people in Manitowoc that have, that they've said how bad it is. I think everybody here knows about Scott Ellis and his son Bryant, and the way that the supposed justice system has dealt with Bryant. But anyway, Chad.
I think where we're at in this case, I've been begging for Zellner to look into Fallon for the past 3 years. There's so much corruption with this guy. We're gonna need federal investigations to investigate the Attorney General's office, but I'm hoping Zellner is waking up, and I'm hoping she's able to start seeing this now. But because I mean, they even dumbed down Fallon's assistant attorney general title to special prosecutor in the case, and such a high profile case, you let Ken Kratz be the star prosecutor. It's like, if it's such a high profile, Fallon should have been the star prosecutor. Because basically they're the ones that are pulling all the strings behind the scenes of the trial that's going on. When you sit there and tell Dean Strang and Jerry Buden in trial, do so at your own peril, I mean, do you take that as a threat of your life? Do you take it as a threat of your careers? Are you supposed to take that? That's some pretty harsh words to swallow. Do so at your own peril during a trial for blaming law enforcement for doing something, And that was the third in command of the state of Wisconsin. So where we're at now, if Zellner can start realizing how much corruption this guy, I called it whenever Brendan Dassey was to be released that Fallon would prevent Schimmel from, letting Brendan Dassey go. His desk in his office, like Eric Jose says, the little desk, big desk. The dude's right there in his office. Me and Juan Teskeru, we come to the conclusion that Brad Schimmel was basically duped by Tom Fallon because of his knowledge in the case and his participation. And now put it in perspective of his collusion and corruption. I mean, there you go. He's part of the reason Brendan Dassey didn't get to come home. But I think if Zellner can get the investigation into the Attorney General's office that she needs. Again, it's going to be hard federal because you have Josh Call, who is Lautenschlager's son. He's the fox guarding the hen house at the moment, and it's gonna be difficult. But I could also see Josh Call having to recuse himself because basically Lautenschlager recused herself from the case. And it's another note I want to touch up. Tom Fallon Tom Fallon was deposed in Stephen Avery's civil suit, and he only came over, just days after Stephen Avery settled out. But he wasn't allowed to come over until then because it would have been a conflict of interest as well. So he settles out, and then lo and behold, you have Tom Fallon waltzing in onto the scene. So I'm hoping Zellner can take this and run with it, because if she's going to get anywhere, you got to go federal on Tom Fallon and investigate all the emails between him and Fassbender, him and Lautenschlager, him and Ken Kratz, him and Wiegert, Pagel. Just basically top tier down. And if Zellner can do that, I see things actually looking pretty good.
Right. Cheers. I was thinking, dude, why don't we skip you, go to Mark, and then you can finish up by singing God Save Our Ears.
Shut up, dude. Anyways, moving on from that.
Go on then, dude.
That havering bit there. Never mind. Anyway, so here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to talk about anybody out there that possibly is buying that tripe from the state about Zellner is delaying this appeal. She is putting this off. She is continually looking for reasons to postpone this and blah, 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 blah. I want to point out something. It's the state that's been hiding things, number one. Yeah. But I want to also point this out about the media. Do you remember when the media was reporting about, oh, yeah, Zellner's delaying this. She's dragging this out. They used the term languishing, which Travis, you guys, as you know, my friend Travis on the channel, the lawyer, he hates it when they refer to that because he said appeals don't languish. People do. But anyway, so all that stuff that they were talking about it. Okay, that was all in the media there in Wisconsin. They were all talking about it. Guess how many of them were talking about it when Mark Williams accidentally phones KZ and leaves a voicemail for KZ for Tom Fallon? Guess how many of them? Big fat goose egg, folks. Nobody talked about it except for Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone is
Green Bay hasn't.
Where?
WBAY in Green Bay actually.
Did they?
Oh yeah.
That's
the only one that I saw.
Well, I'd be interested to see that they did, but from what I can I remember all the media was all over the story about Zellner was prolonging this and dragging this out, and then there was virtually nothing about Mark Williams.
Well, sometimes they just put the stuff on the internet, but they don't say anything on TV about it. And I just saw something on the internet where they quoted what he said. But
yeah, I'm talking about. I had people from Wisconsin that were telling me it was on the TV there. They were talking about how Zellner was dragging this out like it was in the news like big time. And then with this, it was like hush hush.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, they're always hush hush, and that's because the press is reporting first what law enforcement states, So,
I'm going to use a term I hate. I usually never use it, but it fits in this case. Fake news.
Fake news.
I really hate that term, but in this case, it fits.
If this club has got their fingers and everything else, they got their fingers in the media too.
Yeah.
Mark.
Okay. I'll be brief for the benefit of everyone.
No, you won't.
I'm very confident about the future of this matter, both for Stephen and Brendan and for law reform. Kathleen Zellner's approach is a brick by brick approach, where she's chipping away at the wall, and she'll get to a point where the wall crumbles. The other thing and I think that's going to be a lot sooner than a lot of people may think. The other thing I would say, as a repetition of what I said earlier, is that we talk about the so-called other people, the bad boys, as if they're not someone that we don't have an influence in getting them into office.
Yeah.
People have to rise up and vote. They vote for sheriffs. They vote for, I don't know whether they vote for district attorneys. Perhaps they do. They certainly vote for AGs and governors and their local politicians. There needs to be ownership of this process. Irrespective of Stephen and Brendan's cases, there needs to be ownership. And if people just sit back and want to wait for something miraculously to happen, for someone else to do something, it's not going to happen. These issues that associate with Stephen and Brendan are actually symptomatic of problems throughout the United States. They're not the only cases in the same sort of category, and there needs to be an issue and what about what the future holds.
Well, thank you.
Paul, I'm going to probably record a section of this to upload to my channel just to let you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank
Dave,
you.
can I just thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining us? It's been
You're welcome anytime.
to have you on board.
You're welcome anytime.
Well, please. And Chad, as always, let me know when you get hold of that Rolls Royce with the 27-liter engine.
Oh yeah, the Rolls Royce will have me jailed.
and dude, do us a favor. Never ever sing "God Save Our Ears" again.
You're the one that made me. I love how much you complain about it because it was all your fault.
Man, I just got set back $1,000 in duct tape so we can tape up Jose's mouth, but he's got to do a video next, so I have to let him do his video.
It's not
first.
me that you need to be taping up. It's the Mad Scotsman.
The Mad Scotsman.
Mark,
Oh.
thank you as always. You've been absolutely wonderful. I'm going to finish off with a bit of what we started off with, and it's I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. Once I get it started.
Thanks, guys. Great to speak with you as well.
Yep. Good to see you, Mark. Good to see you, Dave. Chad.
Cheers, Dave. Cheers, Chad.
Cheers.
Dude, Mark,
No.
Ozzy. Thanks. Cheers. Come on, it's safe now. It's safe now. You can take your glasses off. knew I was fit to be free. Dun, 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 dun.
I think we lost half our viewers. You